Coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Furby's 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Good evening. Welcome to this evening's newscast on Kaieteur Radio. I am Kevin Smith. Let's get to the news in detail. ExxonMobil, according to former presidential advisor Dr. Yan Mangal, at first intended to flare all of the associated gas from the Liza Phase 1 operation. Dr. Mangal said that in a July 2016 interview, while he did some unpaid work for former President David Granger, he was informed by ExxonMobil and a government official in separate interviews that ExxonMobil's local subsidiary, Esso, had intended to flare all the gas. Dr. Mangal said that later on, the government officials communicated to him that the decision had been changed, that the company would re-inject the gas. This was 1 month after 2016, after the 2016 production sharing agreement was inked by then Minister of Natural Resources Raffle Trotman. In other news, in Ghana, there are several pieces of policies, guidelines, and regulations that protect the interests of citizens in the oil sector. The local content policy and regulations of that African nation state, for example, that foreign companies cannot participate in the oil sector to bid for contracts unless they join forces with companies established by Ghanaians. But those rules go beyond that, as Ghana has an additional set of guidelines which ensure that Ghanaians are not merely added to joint venture agreements as window dressing. According to the guidelines perused, a non-indigenous Ghanaian company which intends to provide goods or services to a contractor, a subcontractor, licensee, or the corporation, or other allied entity within the country shall incorporate a joint venture company with an indigenous Ghanaian company and afford that indigenous Ghanaian company an equity participation of at least 10%. And moving on, the effect on air quality by flaring offshore Ghana by ExxonMobil's local subsidiary, Esso, has not been studied, as the company supposedly did not envision that such a circumstance would play out. In its environmental impact assessment for the Liza Phase 1 project, the company employed a mechanism to measure the impact of this practice on air quality. Importantly, that exercise did not even measure 10% of the toxic chemicals released by flaring. Furthermore, the assessment notes that numerous challenges affect the study's reliability. The issues mentioned, therefore, render the environmental impact assessment highly flawed in its measurement of air quality, leaving the public with no idea of the true effect of flaring on the environment. And on that note, let's tell you, former director of the EPA, Dr. Vincent Adams, recently asserted that ExxonMobil cannot operate in its homeland the way it does within Guyana's shores. Dr. Adams acquired 3 decades of service in the U.S. Department of Energy and Environmental Management, including 10 years as a member of the Senior Executive Service Corps. He stated that, thus far, Guyana is operating as if ExxonMobil has the sole rights to the light sweet crude in the Stabroek Block. Not only that, he pointed out that much of what is uttered by the U.S. supermajor is being easily swallowed by the government, with no efforts being made to question it. And moving on, government-nominated GCOM Commissioner Says Gunraj said on Saturday that steps will be taken to remove officials who participated in the execution of the plot to rig the 2020 general and regional elections. Gunraj was an integral figure in the pushback against the threat to Guyana's democracy last year. Despite the fact that the recount eventually confirmed the fraudulent nature of the declarations made by District 4 returning officer Clermont Mingo, he and other officials accused of being complicit in the assault on Guyana's democracy are still in the employ of GCOM today. On this day last year, the GCOM Secretariat had already attempted through several election officials to have the chair, Claudette Singh, declare a national result, which involved fraudulent numbers from the Region 4 count. In other news, a 13-year-old girl is on the run after she slashed her uncle multiple times on Saturday with a surgical blade for scolding her. Receiving multiple incisions to his face and other parts of his body is 23-year-old Chetram Chandra, a laborer of Bellevue, West Bank Demerara. Chandra was attacked by his niece around 17 hours 45. And moving on, Kaylee Atkinson, a 4-month-old baby girl, died yesterday after reportedly being pinned by her sleeping father. The accidental death of the infant occurred at Annandale, Essequibo Coast, Region 2. It is understood that the baby's father, 18-year-old Troy Williams, usually consumes alcohol and would return home intoxicated, and Saturday night was no different. His wife, 17-year-old Tricia Atkinson, told investigators that he came home drunk around 20 hours 10. Sometime later, Williams entered the bed and fell asleep beside her and little Kaylee. She continued that around 1 hour 55 on Sunday, she awoke to breastfeed Kaylee, but noticed that her husband's right foot was on the child's chest and belly. And let's wrap things up on a lighter note and telling you Guyanese-born singer, rapper Carlos St. John Phillips, better known by his stage moniker St. John, picked up not one, but 2 wins at the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards held Saturday night. John's Roses I'm and Beck remix claimed the award for Best Remixing Recording, while his Beyoncé, Wizkid and Blue Ivy Carter collaboration, Brown Skin Girl from The Lion King, The Gift, secured Best Music Video. And excited, John reacted to each of his awards on Twitter with the trophy and crying emojis before calling out those who didn't see his vision this time, last year.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465